I still remember the sound. Not her voice. Not the words. But the way the fork stopped clinking. The way laughter died mid-breath. The way the entire Christmas dinner table froze, like someone had pressed pause on our lives. That was the moment my mother-in-law decided to destroy me. And she chose Christmas to do it. Christmas had always been important to me, even after marrying into the Whitmore family, wealthy, polished, emotionally cold. I tried to hold on to the magic. The tree, the candles, the fake smiles that hid real resentments. My name is Emily Whitmore. I was 32 years old, married for 6 years, no children yet. And apparently, according to my mother-in-law, that made me replaceable. The perfect table, the perfect lie. The dining room looked like something out of a magazine. Gold-rimmed plates, crystal wine glasses, linen napkins folded into perfect triangles. A 20-pound turkey sat in the center like a trophy. Margaret Whitmore sat at the head of the table, wearing pearls and a smile sharp enough to cut glass. She had always hated me. Not loudly, not openly, but in the way that mattered. Backhanded compliments, silences that screamed, looks that said you don't belong here. I had learned to survive them. Or so I thought. "Emily, dear," Margaret said sweetly, raising her glass, "why don't you tell everyone what you've been up to lately?" I felt the familiar knot in my stomach. This was her favorite game. Public humiliation, disguised as polite conversation. "Well," I said carefully, "I've been managing the operations expansion at—" "Oh," she interrupted, waving her hand dismissively, "still playing assistant at that little company." My husband, Daniel, shifted beside me but said nothing. He never did. I smiled anyway. I actually oversee 3 departments now. Margaret smiled back. The kind of smile that meant blood was coming. The question she knew would hurt. "And children?" she asked suddenly. The table went quiet. Every woman at that table knew what that question meant. Daniel's sister looked down at her plate. Daniel cleared his throat. "Mom." Margaret raised her hand. "No, Daniel, it's Christmas. Family should be honest." She turned to me. "You've had 6 years, Emily. 6, and still nothing." I felt my face burn. "We're not discussing this," Daniel started. "Oh, but we are," she said sharply, "because this family needs an heir." There it was. The word that reduced me to a function. Not a wife. Not a person. A role. "It's time to replace you." Margaret stood. The chair scraped loudly against the floor. She lifted her glass higher. "I've been patient," she said, "but at some point we must face reality." She looked directly at me. Cold, calculating. Emily has failed to fulfill her role in this family. My heart pounded. Then she said it. Clear. Cruel. Unforgettable. "It's time to replace you." The room went dead silent. No one laughed. No one spoke. Even the fireplace seemed to stop crackling. I looked at Daniel. He stared at the table. That hurt more than her words ever could. The moment I broke. I stood up slowly. My legs were shaking, but my voice was. "Replace me," I repeated quietly. Margaret tilted her head. "You heard me." "On Christmas," I said, "in front of everyone." She shrugged. "Truth doesn't take holidays." Something inside me snapped. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But permanently. I realized something then. They thought I was weak. They thought I had nothing. They had no idea who I really was. What they didn't know. They didn't know. The Whitmore Charity Foundation. I ran it. The anonymous donor, keeping their tax shelter alive. Me. The reason Daniel's failed startup survived. My money. The medical bills Margaret never asked about. Paid. By me. I had stayed quiet. I had stayed small. Because I believed love required sacrifice. I was wrong. I picked up my purse. "Thank you for dinner," I said calmly. Margaret laughed, running away already. I turned back to her. "No," I said, "I'm just done pretending." Daniel finally looked up. "Emily, wait." I looked at him. 6 years. And silence when I needed him most. "No," I said softly, "you had your chance." I walked out into the cold Christmas night. Snow fell gently. Beautiful. Silent. Just like the dinner table had been. But this silence, this one was only the beginning. I didn't cry when I got home. That surprised even me. I sat in my car for a long time, watching snow pile up on the windshield, replaying Margaret's words over and over. "Replace you." She had said it like I was a broken appliance. Something disposable. That night, Daniel called me 16 times. I didn't answer. Because for the first time since marrying into that family, I wasn't afraid of losing them. I was afraid of staying. The silence that terrified them. The next morning, the silence started to work in my favor. No emails from me. No charity approvals. No wire transfers. No quiet fixes behind the scenes. By noon, Daniel was at my apartment door. Yes, apartment. Because the house we lived in. It was mine. Bought before marriage. In my name. A detail everyone had conveniently ignored. "Emily, please," Daniel said, rubbing his face. "Mom didn't mean it like that." I laughed softly. She stood up. She toasted my replacement. What part didn't she mean? He had no answer. The first crack in their perfect world. 2 days later, Margaret's charity board meeting was canceled. Funding mysteriously fell short. Then came the calls. Her tone had changed. Less queen. More panic. "Emily," she said tightly, "there seems to be a misunderstanding." "No," I replied calmly. "There was a declaration." Silence. "You embarrassed the family," she snapped. I smiled. "You replaced me," I said. "Remember." The truth comes out. On New Year's Eve, I did something bold. I sent a single email. To the Whitmore family lawyer. To the charity board. To Daniel. Attached were documents. Proof. My private funding. My silent partnerships. The legal structure that protected everything. And one final letter. Effective immediately, all support tied to my involvement is withdrawn. I wish the Whitmore family success, without me. The fallout was instant. Their empire had been built on my silence. And silence was something I was no longer offering. The dinner that changed everything. Margaret demanded a meeting. This time at a restaurant. Public. Safe. She arrived without pearls. Without confidence. "I was wrong," she said stiffly. "We spoke out of emotion." I leaned back. "No," I said. "You spoke from entitlement." Daniel reached for my hand. I didn't take it. Margaret swallowed. "What do you want?" I met her eyes. "I want what you took from me that night." She frowned. "And what's that?" "My dignity." The replacement announcement, reversed. The next week, the family hosted another gathering. A forced one. Damage control. Margaret stood again. Just like Christmas. But this time, her hands trembled. "I owe Emily an apology," she said, voice tight. "She has done more for this family than we ever acknowledged." I stood. Not for forgiveness. For closure. "I was replaceable," I said calmly, "because I allowed myself to be." I looked at Daniel. And that ends today. Final ending, the choice they never expected. I filed for divorce. Quietly. Cleanly. Daniel didn't fight it. Because he knew. Some things, once broken, don't heal. Margaret lost her influence. The charity collapsed. The whispers followed her everywhere. She replaced the woman who built everything. As for me, I moved, started my own foundation. My name on it, my rules, my voice. And every Christmas after that, I host my own dinner. Warm, loud, full of laughter. And when someone once asked me if I regretted leaving the Whitmore family, I smiled. No, I said. They replaced me. And I replaced the life I settled for with the one I deserved. The end.